You ever walk into a room and feel like you don't belong, not because anyone said it, but because you're carrying this invisible measuring stick? You look left, you look right, and suddenly you forget what you came for. Because you're too busy checking how everyone else is dressed, how they talk, what they drive, who they know. It's human, it's natural, but let me tell you something straight. Comparison will kill your purpose faster than failure ever could. See, we're living in a time where you can compare yourself to millions of people in a matter of seconds. Scroll, tap, like envy. It's a trap dressed up as inspiration. You start off thinking, I'm just looking for motivation. Next thing you know, you're deep in someone else's life story, questioning your own. You see their success, but you don't see the nights they cried. You hear their applause, but you don't hear the silence they had to walk through. You admire the mansion, but you never saw the blueprint. You admire their shine, but you didn't witness the struggle that polished it. People show you the highlight reel, but you're living through the raw footage. And that's not a fair fight. I remember back when I was just starting out. No fame, no fortune, just a guy trying to figure it out. I was in acting classes with people who seemed to have it all. Smooth delivery, model looks, connections. There were days I'd walk out of that studio and think, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I'm not built for this. But then it hit me, what if I stopped watching everyone else and started working on me? What if I doubled down on my gifts, no matter how quiet they seemed at the time? So I shut out the noise. I stopped worrying about what lane they were running in and started mastering my own stride. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't fast, but it was mine, and that made all the difference. You can't build your destiny while you're distracted by someone else's design. You can't hear your own voice if you're too busy echoing theirs. Look, when you compare, you forget your calling, you forget your pace, you forget your power, and worst of all, you forget your worth. So the next time you feel that itch, that pull to compare, to measure, to compete, stop. Breathe, ground yourself. You are not here to be better than anyone else. You are here to be the best version of the person you were born to be. And when you focus on that, when you lock in on that truth, no one can touch you. You ever see someone else winning and think, man, they got it all figured out? Like everything they touch turns to gold, careers popping, relationships glowing, confidence on 10. And you start wondering, what am I doing wrong? You start chasing their blueprint instead of working your own. But here's the thing, and I mean this with every fiber of my being, you can't grow what you don't water. You can't reap where you don't sow, and you sure as hell can't thrive if all your energy is spent watching someone else's garden bloom while yours sits dry and forgotten. I remember back when things were just starting to move for me, a little buzz, some small wins. I got caught up. I was watching the big names, trying to walk like them, talk like them, hustle like them. But the more I did that, the more I lost myself. The more I tried to be a mirror, the less I had my own reflection. Then I thought about something my mother used to say, son, stop looking over the fence. Take care of your own yard. Now let me tell you, we had this patchy little lawn when I was a kid. Grass was stubborn, dry in spots, never looked like the ones you'd see in the magazines. But she'd be out there every weekend, raking, watering, trimming. Neighbors would pass by with their perfect lawns and their perfect smiles, but she didn't flinch, she never compared. She just kept working. Kept loving that little patch of green like it was the Garden of Eden. And over time, that grass came to life. It didn't happen overnight, but it happened because attention is love, energy is power. And what you give yourself consistently grows. We forget that. We want results without roots. We want greatness without grind. But nature don't work like that. You don't plant seeds and check back in 5 minutes. You tend to them, you protect them, you wait, you trust. Everybody wants to be seen shining, but few are willing to do the quiet work in the dark. Few want to be the person showing up every day, even when no one's clapping. Few want to water their dreams without knowing when or even if the flowers will come. But that's the difference. That's what separates the imitators from the originators. When you stop feeding everyone else's vision with your attention, you finally make room for your own to breathe. Your journey has its own rhythm. Your life has its own design. You might be a cactus in a world full of roses, and that's beautiful, if you learn how to survive in your season in your way. So I ask you, what are you watering? Are you giving your time, your thoughts, your focus to your own growth? Or are you watching someone else get green while your roots go dry? Because no matter where you come from, no matter what it looks like today, your garden can grow if you love it enough to stay. There's a fight going on every single day, and most folks don't even know they're in it. I'm not talking about out there in the streets, in your job, in your school, in your social media feed. I'm talking about the battle in here. Right here. Denzel taps his chest. The real war ain't outside. It's inside. It's that quiet little war between the voice that says, you can, and the one that whispers, you never will. See, when people see success, they think it's about talent, about luck, about the breaks. And sure, those things matter. But the biggest thing, the one thing that decides whether you rise or stay stuck, it's how you manage the war within yourself. You ever been in your own way? Be honest. You ever had something you wanted to do, a dream, a goal, a step forward, and before anybody else could block it, you did? That voice kicks in. I'm not ready. I'm not good enough. I don't have what it takes. And just like that, you're paralyzed. Not because you weren't capable, but because you let that voice win. I've been there. I still go there sometimes. That voice doesn't vanish just because you've got a few wins under your belt. If anything, it gets louder. It grows with you, gets clever, learns your patterns, but you've got to understand your greatest opponent isn't the world. It's not the haters, it's not the critics, it's you doubting yourself in the quiet. You think the people who make it are fearless? No, they're scared too. The difference is, they don't let fear take the wheel. They hear the voice, but they don't obey it. They fight back. When I was first starting out, I had nights where I'd sit alone and ask myself, what if I never get there? What if I'm not enough? That voice had me close to quitting more times than I care to admit. But every time it got loud, I'd remind myself, this is the test. This is the fight, and the only way out is through. So I started talking back, not with arrogance, not with fake confidence, but with truth. I may not be perfect, but I'm here. I may not know everything, but I'm willing to learn. I may be afraid, but I'm still moving. You've got to become your own champion in the dark before the world ever sees your light. Because if you don't believe in your own fight, no one else will. So every morning, when you wake up and face that mirror, understand this. You're looking at your greatest ally and your toughest opponent all at once. And the question is simple. Who are you going to let win today? Because the world can't beat you. Unless you hand it the blueprint by losing to yourself first. You want to change your life. You don't need to look outside. You need to win in here. That's the only battle that ever really mattered. We live in a world that's addicted to noise. Everything's pulling at you, dings, pings, likes, comments, headlines, updates. You can be alone in a room, but never truly alone in your mind. And every second, something's trying to grab your attention, shift your focus, steer you off course. Distraction is loud, but discipline is quiet. Discipline shows up early when no one's watching. Discipline says no when the easy thing screams yes. Discipline isn't sexy. It doesn't get applause. But it's the only reason anything great ever gets built. I remember early on in my career, everybody was out partying, talking about big dreams, flashing fast money, chasing moments. I was tempted, no lie, tempted to follow the crowd, to take the shortcut, to chase the spotlight instead of building the stage. But something in me said, that noise won't get you where you want to go. See, distraction loves attention. It wants your eyes, your energy, your time. It doesn't need to destroy you, it just needs to delay you long enough for you to forget why you started. And that's where most people fall, not because they aren't talented, not because they don't have the tools, but because they got tired of staying focused in a world that profits off keeping you lost. There's a cost to chasing everything. You think you're multitasking, but you're really just bleeding energy. You're chasing every trend, liking every post, comparing every life, and somewhere in the chaos you forget about your work. Your dream, your mission. Discipline is the difference between potential and purpose. It's the voice that says, sit down and write, show up again, turn off the noise and put in the reps. Nobody sees the hours. Nobody claps for the grind, but one day the results speak so loud you won't have to. And when that day comes, when they see the success, the power, the calm, they'll say you're lucky, but luck had nothing to do with it. It was you every day, choosing the hard thing over the easy thing, the silence over the spotlight, the growth over the scroll, the purpose over the pressure. You want to rise, you want to build something real, something lasting. Then train your focus like a muscle. Protect your energy like it's your legacy. Treat your time like it's sacred because it is. Discipline will carry you when motivation quits. Discipline is the quiet promise you keep with yourself when no one's watching. And in the end, it's the only thing that separates those who talk from those who become. You ever try to shrink yourself just to fit in? Dim your light so nobody feels blinded? Hold back your truth just to keep the peace? Yeah, I've been there too. Let me tell you something, playing small doesn't protect you. It only robs the world of who you really are. You weren't built to blend in. You were born to stand out. And if the path you're walking makes people uncomfortable, let it. You don't owe this world an explanation for being who you were created to be. Too many people out here folding under pressure, walking somebody else's walk because they're afraid their truth might offend somebody. But let me ask you, why live your life on mute when you were given a voice to speak with power? Why tiptoe through your purpose just to keep people comfortable in their own limitations? I learned early on, when you walk your own path, people will doubt you. They'll question you. They'll say, who do you think you are? And the answer is simple. I'm me. I'm not a replica. I'm not a watered-down version of anybody else. I'm not on this earth to fit into your box. I'm here to build my own. You can't run someone else's race and expect to win your own medal. Their lane wasn't built for your stride. Their shoes weren't made for your steps. And the minute you stop trying to keep up with someone else is the minute you start moving like you were meant to. But walking your path takes guts. It means saying no when everyone's saying yes. It means turning left when the whole world's shouting right. It means trusting your vision when nobody else can see it yet. And that kind of courage, it don't come from applause. It comes from alignment, knowing deep in your soul that this road you're on may not be easy, may not be popular, but it's yours. I've been on stages, won awards, traveled the world, but none of that means a thing if I lose myself in the process. If I start acting to please instead of acting from truth. And you better believe the world will try to mold you, repackage you, turn you into a brand, a label, a hashtag. But every time they try, you stand taller, speak clearer, move louder. Because every time you show up as you, fully and fearlessly, you give someone else permission to do the same. That's how the cycle breaks. That's how the culture shifts. That's how purpose wins. You don't have to apologize for your ambition. You don't have to downplay your gifts. You don't have to wait for permission to be powerful. So I'm telling you now, walk your path. Head high, voice steady, spirit unshaken, not later, not someday, now. Walk it like it was made for you because it was, and don't just walk it quiet. Walk it loud, walk it bold, walk it unapologetic. Because you don't find freedom hiding in the shadows, you find it when you finally decide to be you, and only you, no matter who's watching. So here we are. We've talked about comparison, how it steals your purpose before you ever get started. We've talked about watering your own grass, about tending to your gifts, your growth, your lane. We've talked about the battle within that silent war that decides everything before the world ever lays eyes on you. We've talked about discipline, that quiet force that builds greatness when nobody's clapping. And we've talked about walking your path loud, bold, and unapologetic, because there's no freedom in pretending. But none of that matters if you walk out of here and forget who you are. You've got one life, one voice, one shot to make it count. So stop waiting, stop watching, start becoming. Don't live this life as a spectator in someone else's highlight reel. Be the author of your own story. Be the fire in your own spirit. Be the one who shows the world what's possible when you stop looking around and finally look within. Because the truth is, no one else can be you. And that, right there, is your superpower. So stand tall, speak true, move forward, not for applause, not for approval, but because you were built for this. It's time. Focus on you. lock in, and go become everything they said you couldn't. You ready? Let's go.